Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Hopefully everybody's doing well. Welcome back to the Process Live. I'm Mark Smith. We've had a great run thus far. But as you know, and as you guys know me, we're going to move it to another level, especially starting tonight. I'm so honored to have some great friends who I'm going to introduce to you shortly. But I kind of want to go back and kind of bring those people up to speed to where we've been. We started out just by talking about what growth means. And each one of our segments is in helping to build and magnify what growth means to each individual. So we did AIR. We talked about that. That was accountability, integrity, responsibility, and respect. We had a phenomenal opportunity 2 weeks ago to speak with two gentlemen, and we talked about the power of pride and understanding that pride could be, please remember, ignorance destroys everything. So we're going to move again to something else tonight. Something else that actually is a two-part segment that we're going to cover two acronyms, but both of them are so powerful. I'm going to tell you what they are, but I think I'll wait. We're going to go ahead and get this started so you can hear where we're going. Let's have some fun. Welcome to the Process Live Roundtable. Welcome back. Again, we're not going to waste any time tonight. We're going to go ahead because this segment will go a full 60 minutes today with everything that we got going on. First and foremost, we want to hear from you. Everybody should have the link and you're able to dial in. We want your interaction. That's the only way that we are going to be able to kind of share a different message. You've always heard me say 6 times, 6 different separate ways. So you're going to hear a message that is concurrent to everything and what we talk about. So interact. We want to be able to answer your questions. Want to be able to have an opportunity to speak with you about how you can grow forward. But more importantly, and just as much, you have an opportunity to win some process merchandise, which a lot of people have taken advantage of over the last couple of weeks. So I want to introduce my first friend. Again, we don't call them guests, we call them friends. Young lady down the street. She's actually right here in Maryland as well. I've known this young lady for several years, and she is going to bring a worth of knowledge to us tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to meet a good friend of mine, Miss Anvennette McDonald. So Anvennette, thank you for joining me this evening.
Thank you for having me.
All right. And another good friend at New York City. That's where he's from. That's where he's at right now. We got a story that we'll catch up with, I'm sure, later we'll share. But again, this gentleman actually took me under his wing quite a long time ago when I had the pleasure of working with him as well. And he showed me a lot of great things, and he is a magnificent speaker and does a lot of great things. It's Mr. Derrek Ruffin out of New York City. So Derrek, how are you, sir?
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Happy to be here.
Thanks again for coming in tonight. Well, I want to get this started. One of the first things that I like to talk about to get us started is the process. And I know both of you have actually been on my podcast on Star 107 FM, but the process, as we talk about, means something different to everybody. So I want to kind of get us started today and start with you, Anvennette. Can you kind of, in this format, what does the process mean to you and in your life?
The process to me has always been about change and embracing change. Change is inevitable, and it's basically something that's a part of life. And if we don't embrace it, we basically fear moving forward. We are basically holding ourselves up. We are just not going to grow. So as I've said before, even though the process is not easy, it's just basically about embracing that change and being willing to level up and move forward.
Mm, thank you. Thank you. Derrek, what about you?
You know, Mark, for me, is working on yourself every day. Everyone has a different story, and everybody comes from a different walk of life. And a friend of mine, actually, one of my mentees always said, you know, you wake up and you win that day. So each day when you seek greatness within yourself, and I know that word sometimes is overused, but when you seek greatness in yourself, everything else will come, right? So you wake up, and I guess the goal for that day is winning that day. And after a while, right, when you string a few of those wins together, it becomes a habit. And then that habit becomes a way of life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're going to get into habit for a few minutes a little bit later as well. For me, the process defined is evolution and the steps of evolution, and being able to accept the not so great things that happen in our lives with the great things that happen in our lives, and understanding that the not so great things are meant to teach us something. Not only are they ready to teach us something, but they're going to impact and shape us how we grow forward in what we need to do. So it's huge. The process is huge, and I think we all are works in progress within the process to reach the levels that we need to listen to. So I'm going to jump in right to our topic tonight, because our topic is a twofold topic, and our topic is the words poor versus rich. And a lot of people, when I mention that word poor, they think of monetary things. They think of the dollars, the having a good spirit, or things like that. But I write about poor as being passing over opportunity repeatedly, and how so many of us, me included, and I chronicle about it, have done that in my own life. There's things that I've overlooked on multiple times, and didn't take things serious. But within passing over opportunity repeatedly, I want to dial in on two of the words that you feel individually are important to you, and why. So I'm going to start with you first, Derrek, and then Anvennette, you'll go right after him. But I want you to identify one of the two, and then we'll come back for the second one. So what will be one of the words in poor?
I would say opportunity. You know, I always say opportunities don't go to waste, they go to other people. And, you know, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. But there's two types of people, those that wait for things to happen, and those that make them happen. And it's a learning process. You know, you said something earlier that I wanted to touch on. You said it's an evolution. So it's an evolution of wanting people to give you things, and thinking things should happen to you without you actually having to work for them. But when you begin to put that work ethic behind, you know, what you say your dreams are, what you say you want out of life, when these opportunities come, you don't have to prepare for that opportunity. You're actually already ready for the opportunity. So that would be the one word that I would pick out of the acronym.
Okay, perfect. How about you, Anvennette?
That was wonderful. I actually picked out the two words I picked out basically were passing repeatedly. That is a poor mindset. Absolutely. Passing, just letting opportunities pass you all the time. Never, ever, you know, embracing the fact that you could actually succeed. I mean, having a poor mindset is basically saying repeatedly, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to try. I'm not going to try to level up here. I'm going to stay where I am. I'm not going to change. I don't want to at all. And you become complacent after a while. You don't want to do anything. You don't have that spirit of adventure. And then you're looking for other, what I want to say, then you're looking for ways to kind of get out of your funk. And those ways were already presented to you. The opportunities were there. So passing repeatedly was the ones that the words that stuck out for me there, as far as the poor is concerned. Those opportunities, they come your way. You just have to embrace them. You have to try. You have to not be scared to fail.
Good stuff. I want to say one of the two words would be at that end, repeatedly. You know, I've often said words lie, actions lie, but consistency doesn't lie. So to be consistent, you must establish a pattern of doing something successfully I like to say successfully because, again, you can have a pattern of doing something negatively, but doing something successfully over and over and over and over again, they yield the results that you're truly looking for. So to be able to repeat the successes or repeat the steps that it allowed me to grow are something that's paramount to me. When I first wrote this podcast and talked about these types of things, repeatedly always stuck out at me because you have to continue to work on your craft no matter what you do or where you go. I know Derrek played basketball, so we're going to probably get into that a little bit later. And Net's a masterful trainer, so we're going to touch on that as well. But we didn't get there doing the things that we did overnight. They were repeated, hard times, bad times, frustrated times of action items that we put place. So, but to get there, we had to understand that the words in our lives, some of the words are going to lie, some of the actions are going to lie, but our consistency to get to where we want to go were a repeated process that we all need to go to. So I'm going to swing back to you, Anvennette. You said both of them. Let's break down the other one that you talked about. You had said passing and repeatedly. Let's get into one of those that you feel, again, is more important to you.
Oh, the one that's more important to me? It could be basically what you just said, repeatedly. I can't tell you how many times I've actually wasted time, not embracing the opportunities that were available to me, being too scared of succeeding, of actually or failing, of actually just trying. There was just, I can tell you, I'm thinking about so many times from high school all the way up to maybe even a few years ago, where it was just a lot of times where I just said, no, I'm not going to do it. And then probably over the last year, I basically said, you know what, I'm going to try. I'm going to go ahead and stop repeatedly denying myself and start repeatedly doing things that I said I wasn't going to do before. Just start building that habit. And when you start building that habit, that becomes part of your life, actually. Like I said, probably about a year ago, I decided, let me go ahead and stop passing over, getting healthier. Starting to exercise every day because I had excuses, then COVID came up and I didn't have any more excuses. I had a lot of time. So what was my excuse now? So I started repeatedly doing it every day. I said, I'm going to do something every day. And it became a habit. Now it's part of my life. It's comfortable. It was uncomfortable for me. Now it's very comfortable for me. That means I have to push further. Okay. So it's actually something that, can be a good thing. It repeatedly is a good thing for me, and it's a bad thing, because repeatedly, if you start doing things repeatedly, they start to become part of your life. They become it becomes more of a something that you will embrace and that you will love to do, instead of being scared of and have every excuse not to do.
Thank you, Derrek. What about you, sir?
It was tough for me to come up with the second one, Mark, but I'm going to go with passing. For me, it's all about opportunity and being prepared for the opportunity. So if we're going to, use the acronym POUR, I would say just passing on everything. They always say, when the alarm clock goes off in the morning, there's that split second where you hit snooze or you get out of the bed. And typically those that are go-getters and those that are doers and those that accomplish what they need to accomplish, they're the ones that get out of bed. Those that do not tend to be the ones that snooze and they constantly let things just pass them by. And those are opportunities. And, again, we've all read many books, and, there was one of the books, and I can't recall the author, who said, there's a split second. It's very easy for everyone to get up, to be fruitful in life, to make a good living, and to be successful. But the challenging thing is just as easy as it is to do it, it's just as easy not to do it. And again, that's just passing on and passing on and passing on. So I guess the two would be passing opportunities. We spoke about the opportunities portion. And if I had to pick another word, Mark, it would be passing.
Thank you. I'm going to jump to one of the ones that nobody took advantage of, and that's over. For me, over means the flip side. It's the backside. And a lot of times we in life, unfortunately, we show our backside. And I don't mean in terms of being rude or nasty. It means the fact of us not having the will to win. And a lot of individuals, when things get tough, is when the time that they want to lay down. They want to roll over. When they're pushed to really test their intestinal fortitude, they don't push through. They at some point they shut down and don't really want to go over the next step, go over a factual plan, go over what they did wrong to get to the levels that they truly want to get to. So moving forward, understanding that anytime that you pass over opportunity repeatedly, these are steps in your life that can cost you what you need to levels that you need to reach, the goals that you're trying to reach. Again, I ask anybody that's listening, weigh in. This is a completely interactive session in our roundtable. Let us know your thoughts. This is what we're truly about. It's about sharing different ideas. I want to come back to something that you said, Anvennette, and you had talked about the fact that getting not so much getting older, but more on the lines of wasting time.
Mm-hmm.
Wasting time. And I've used the adage that you can't replace a breath. So the things that we have gone through, the things that we continue to go through, are become the intestinal fortitude of what we're measured on. Can you talk a little bit about your decision to not pass over opportunity any longer and get into that health regimen that you desire to get into?
Oh, absolutely. There were a lot of excuses, when we decide we're not going to do anything. We have so many excuses to not, because we're in our comfort zone. That's basically it. We're staying comfortable. This is where we are. This is where we're going to be. Why would I move? I'm happy here, or I think I'm happy here. Then when we actually start moving, sometimes, like when I decided that, okay, I have this 3 hours, we had COVID, I'm working from home, I'm not on the road. I'm a believer. So I'm like, God, I used to say, hey, God, if you just give me time, I can do things, I can do this. And so he gave me 3 hours back and said, well, what you going to do with it? And I said, okay. Then I started having excuse after excuse. I was just too busy. Everything's going crazy with the state and my job and so on and so forth. And then he said, you know what? This is going to be on you. It's your decision. Okay. I had to stop making excuses. I had to stop being fearful of change, of changing me, of what was going to come out of this thing. What was it basically starting to get out there, of it hurting, because exercise does not feel good. Okay. Just like the process, exercise does not feel good. Okay. I've said the process sucks. Exercise sucks. Okay. So, but it's necessary. It's a necessary part of this process of becoming healthier. If you want to get to it, you're going to have to go through the pain to get to it. And again, it's beautiful on the other side. And of course, the thing about it is that this process that I found when it comes to exercising and getting healthier and so on and so forth is you're not finished. You see, you act like you'll say you'll come out on the other side beautiful, but then you're not finished. You're just preparing yourself for another level. You're not done yet. That's what, this life is all about. You're not done yet. But you need to get started. So don't be scared to get started. Don't waste time. I'm a procrastinator. I am chronic procrastinator. I think that I need to start a group for procrastination, probably do that tomorrow though. But I honestly that's my biggest thing and my biggest time waster. I honestly am like, I wish I actually started this years ago. If I knew that I was going to feel this good and be this healthy and have this much energy, I wish I would have done it a long time ago. But I need to stop saying I wish I would have, and just be embracing the fact that I have done it, and I'm continuing to do it, and I'm not going to stop.
Thank you, Derrek. You brought up something that is so strong. You talked about the opportunity to make that choice when getting out of bed in the morning, and hitting that snooze. I know your personal story, and I know some of the things that you've overcome, and we've had a lot of conversation about some of the things that happened to me in my progressionary states of life. Talk to us for a few minutes about how that passing over opportunity kind of has put you in a position to where you are right now.
So, Mark, for me, I've been blessed enough to where I've always had someone see potential in me, sometimes before I saw it in myself. So in the beginning, it wasn't so much passing up the opportunity. I really thought that I deserved an opportunity that I later found out that maybe I didn't deserve. Early on in my career, I would make it to, a senior level and an assistant director level, but I could never quite make it to the director's level. And I remember one time one of our regional managers came to the office, and I was talking to him, and I'm like, listen, I've been here for a few years now, and you guys have brought in some people from Texas, you've brought in people from Colorado, and I'm here in the building. I come to work on time. I don't call out. If I go on vacation, you guys know well in advance. All my work's done before I go on vacation. Why not me? And I remember his name is Reggie Moore. He says, but you're looking for credit for stuff you're supposed to do. I pay you to do that. I pay you to come to work on time, right? I pay you to make sure the job gets done. You have to do the job before you're paid to do the job. And that was the turning point, I would say, in my career, acting like a leader before you actually become a leader. So people have something to follow. So I don't know if I actually would say I passed up an opportunity, but I think I was looking for someone to give me the opportunity instead of actually earning that opportunity. And that was really the catalyst of a lot of my career, and things have been going well since then. But the story that you're talking about, and maybe we can get into it a little later, it's what I was doing with the opportunity once I had it. And that's a whole different story.
Absolutely. I'm going to segue into our next topic because, again, it shifts exactly what we talked about to what needs to happen. And I can only speak for myself when I can talk about the I don't want to say failures, because I don't believe I've ever failed. I believe that I've gone through a situation that allowed me to grow, to learn something. So I often talk about the times to when I didn't have, like some people, was forced through unemployment, and how I unexpectedly lost a job that I thought would be there for a long period of time. And through that job, while I was in that job, I had passed over opportunities repeatedly, meaning there were other individuals who reached out to me and said, listen, you're doing a phenomenal job. Why don't you bring your talents elsewhere? And I decided, nah, that's not going to be the case for me. But once that happened, your mind goes through a heavy transition to when you're not working anymore. For those of you who are listening and those of you who experience it, you feel worthless at some point. You feel though as that, you really have nothing to give. But I always go back and remember and talk about how, my wife was my biggest supporter, my biggest champion all the way through it. And she had told me something that sticks with me, which is kind of how I created this whole thing as well. She said, Mark, what do you think you want to do? And I said, I want to share a message that hopefully impacts individuals. She said, do you want to hopefully impact, or do you want to impact? Because there's a big difference. I said, I do want to impact. She said, but for you to impact, Mark, you have to realize it can happen. Realize it can happen. So that made me think about Rich. Realize it can happen. which is that paramount or that shift from passing over opportunity. So I'm going to start with you first this time, Derrek. Of those 4 words right in there, well, I'm going to say 3 because I don't think anybody's going to choose it, right? So of those words, pick one of those right now that you feel are most paramount to you in your life.
Realization. You know, when you're constantly trying to be the best version of yourself you can be, Mark, it comes to a point where you realize that you control what can happen. And I know that now. And I will tell you, there was a certain point in time that I didn't know that. You know, you would work hard and it just seemed so cloudy and so ambiguous as to what your career direction was, what your personal direction was, your spiritual direction. You took life as it came to you instead of the other way around. So, you know, the realization that I control how I react, how I respond, what I do, there's no excuse. I take 100% accountability for everything that happens to me. Even if someone else has done it to me and I respond, then I'm responsible for how I respond. So I can't control what you do or what you say or how you behave, or, you know, whatever the case may be, but I can control me. And from that moment, and when I realized that, I think that's when things began to change for me.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Anvennette?
I definitely have realized too. That's the word that actually, it says when you come back to that realization, you have that aha, wait a minute. Why am I letting this pass me by? What is the worst? And I had happened. So we're going to talk about that later. But what's the worst that can happen? You know? So just having that aha moment and realizing that if you do it or you try it, you're going to learn. Okay. You're not going to fail. You're not going to fail. I think there's a YouTuber I follow, Dr. Nina Ellis Hervey, and she came up with the acronym. So I know how you like acronyms, Mark. Fail, fall, and immediately learn. So I say that because she's also my soror as well. But I love her. And she said she's come up with that and coined it, fall and immediately learn. And I use that all the time. I'm thinking, like Nelson Mandela said, you know, I don't lose. I never lose. I either win or I learn. So I come to the realization that I'm going to give it a try. Anything that I was scared of previous to that, why not? Why not try it? Why not try it? Okay. If I decide I'm going to get back on skates and fall on my butt, well, I tried. What's the worst that can happen? I can fall and hurt myself. What's the worst that can happen? Well, you know, let's give it a try. Why not? Why not? Absolutely.
You know, what George Washington Carver says something that I often read to the young men and women that I facilitate. And it says 99% of all failures come from people who have a habit of making excuses. Mm-hmm. A habit of making excuses. So with that being the situation, my word inside that is can. Can.
It's not it.
No, it won't be it. It can. It is. It can, because another parallel or synonym for can is possible.
Yeah.
So a lot of times we go through life being told from a young perspective all the way through even as adulthood that you can't do something. That's not for you. When realistically, we can reach some of the levels that we choose to reach. It is possible for us to grow exponentially if we want to. Truly, if we want to, we can reach the levels of professionalism, can make impacts, can effectively make change in society if we choose to do so. You know, I go back to the times when I played football in high school and in college, when, you know, people had told me prior to that it can't be done. Winning these types of games can't happen. But they don't see the long hours that you put in. They don't see the enormous hours of studying. So it can come to fruition. Some people said that I would never return from the heartache and disappointment that I had from losing a job. And that was, again, that was, as you just talked about, that was the greatest blessing that ever could have happened to me. Mm-hmm. To be removed from that environment, to be placed in, to meet great people in my life, to be in a platform now to where I can share information with individuals and be surrounded with great people. So that's the C in rich for me. We're gonna swing back to you first this time, Anvennette. What other one? And it can be it.
It can be it. It can be it. It's not it. No, it's not it. But yeah, the other one was just happen, because you can make it happen. You know, you just have to basically believe that you can actually do it. I mean, we talked about fear, and you have that acronym, false evidence appearing real, false expectations of appearing real, false emotions. All of these things are playing into it. They're all playing into the fact that you just have every excuse as to the reason why. I work with people that are on unemployment, and I've been through that as well, Mark. Honestly, I have been through unemployment. I've been through jobs that I was like, why am I here? Scared of letting go. I've been through a situation where I was at a job that I just did not like. It hurt every day. And I told this to the individuals that I work with on unemployment. I had to make a decision to leave. And I didn't really know where I was going at that point in time. But I had to make the decision because it hurt every day. My favorite day of the week was Friday. And the worst day of the week was Sunday night, because I knew I was going to be going in there Monday. Okay. And I did everything I could to get fired, to be honest. Honestly, I was walking in there probably 30 minutes. I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do. I was walking in there maybe 30 minutes till 30 minutes after. And they really were not trying to let me go. I could tell that. I would leave 30 minutes ahead of time. I gotta go, come on, people, just let me go. I was miserable in this position. Not really realizing that it was actually preparing me for the next position to come, but it also was preparing me to start mapping out my goals. I was lost, and this was probably a few years ago. It was a few years before I started working for the state, as a matter of fact. 20 years into my career, and I was lost. I didn't like what I was doing anymore. I didn't like where everything was going anymore. And I had to make a decision to change and figure out what that change was going to look like. I had to make a decision to finally make it happen and stop being stagnant. And stagnant, I was being very complacent. I was just going with the flow, and I had to basically start rocking the boat. So I had to reevaluate myself. I had to go through doing skills assessments. I had to take a look at my job and say, I can't blame everything on the job. I had to make a lot of things start to happen really quickly, so I could start making more things happen, started putting things into play, to figure out what was going to make me happy in the long run, what was going to make me happy. So that took a lot, especially 20 years into your career and you're looking at trying to start over somewhere else. It just kind of took me I didn't want to do it. I was procrastinating on that as well. I didn't want to do it. I was like, why would I start over from here? And try to figure out, why would I try to figure that out now? So, starting to make things happen, just made me even happier than I've ever been. Okay. And so right now I'm actually in a job that I actually love to do, people that I actually love to work with, and all of that. And it's just because I had to reclaim my time, start making things happen, and start going in the direction that I was meant to go in. Not saying that the job that I had didn't prepare me for that. It did, again, but I was sitting on a level that I didn't need to be on anymore. And I didn't realize that. Realizing and making it happen. So,
Thank you, Derrek. What about you, sir?
That's real good, Mark. I don't know how I can follow that up. Yeah, I'm going to say can happen as well. One of the themes that I think we've heard today, or that I've heard, is that everybody's saying I did, I created, I changed, and it goes back to that self accountability. Can happen. I always say that motivation is from the outside in, but inspiration is from the inside out. And Antoinette was talking about creating a vision for herself and removing herself and realizing what she wanted to do. Not saying I wanted someone to give me this, or I was waiting for someone to give me the hookup. And that seems to be the theme of, you have to have that fortitude in order to make things happen. But what also goes, I think, under recognized is a vision. I'm always thinking, right? I'm always thinking, and I'm 2, 3, 4 chess moves ahead, just having a vision of what the next step looks like and what do I need to do to get to the next step. Again, it's that work ethic and that mindset of just wanting to be great. A lot of people say that they want to be great, but nobody wants to put in the work that it takes to be great. So do you want to be great, or do you want someone to hand you greatness? No one is going to hand you greatness, okay? You got to make it happen on your own. And since we're here, I guess my testimony is, I had one of the best jobs that I've had in my entire career. And I was doing extremely well. I had multiple platforms where I was doing speaking engagements, and things couldn't get better, so I assumed. And then just like that, it's all gone. Everything is gone. The platform, the career, the income. And I went from being a person that was sought after by just about every institution to not being able to land a job. And so those feelings that you talked about earlier, Mark, I identified with them very well, which is how I ended up in Maryland. And realizing once I was down there that I needed to be still, and I needed to reevaluate myself. And I was put in a place to where I needed the people that I worked with when I was in Maryland just as much as the people in Maryland needed me. And that rebuilt me to who I believe that I am today, and continuing to grow to where I came back to New York and has accomplished bigger and better things, and we're not done yet. So I'll close by saying those who think they can and can't are both usually right.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff. Well, I'm gonna take the challenge. I'm gonna go with it, because nobody want to take it, and I wrote the acronym.
I'm ready to hear this.
I'm gonna take it.
I'm ready to hear it.
Right, y'all, everybody get pen and paper for this. When you hear the word it usually pushes people, or what I like to say, you hear it's followed by something else. It is. It's enough. That means you've reached your limit. You have truly reached the limit of where you want to go. That's all. It is all. That, to me, it is a setup or the precursor for an action that's getting ready to happen. That's it. I am not going to be where I was before any longer. I'm not going to be the same man or woman that I was yesterday. Tomorrow I will be better than I was yesterday, because I'm fed up of it being me, it being my thought process, it being who I thought I was or who I was trying to appease. It has changed me to be a better person than I was before. So thank each one of you for working in on that one. I told you I was going to get it.
I got it, yeah.
All right. So, I've wrote 3 series inside the process. I wrote The Foundation. I wrote The Perfect Storm, which was identified by COVID. Really was a kind of a blessing to be written at the same time COVID was going through. And I finished up a series not too long ago called that was really impactful to me, and it still is. It's kind of tough to not move away from that series. But I'm in this one right now called Why Not Me? And the fact of why not me, for me, it says that enough is enough. I'm fed up of it, and I'm looking at myself, and I'm justifying why I deserve to reach the levels that I've reached. So I'm going to start with you, Derrek, first this time. You've had a paramount of success. You've reached a new level, and again, congratulations on your current position to where you're at. And I was one of your biggest cheerleaders when you said you were leaving Maryland and going back home. I really was. I definitely support for all that you do. When did it become the point, or what made you look at yourself and look in your family, look in that mirror that day, and said, "Why not me? Why don't I deserve to reach the levels of success and reach the things that I truly want to reach?"
Oh, Mark, I think it was the way that I felt. Antoinette said something like she was going to work, but I guess there wasn't that sense of fulfillment, and just feeling like you can bring more to the table. I don't ever want to work or lead in an institution where I feel like they want me to feel lucky that I have a job. And just bottled up inside of me, I just know I can do more. And once I reached that point where I realized that I control every step, then nothing can get in my way. There's not a race, there's not a gender, there's not a circumstance that I choose to research. I choose to work harder. I choose to be better. I choose to read. I have a 45-minute commute every morning going to the city and coming home. I can sleep or I can read. It's your choice, right? I choose to read, which prepares me to be better once I get to where I'm going. So why not me? I would say it is a mindset that I had when I realized that I could control, that I can control, and that I am controlling, my future for myself and my family.
You said that word, it. Thank you, sir. Anvennette, you chronicled about it earlier. Where did it take place for you when you said, "Why not me"?
Yeah. When I said, "Why not me?" I had to, again, stop making excuses for myself. Honestly, I did. It was basically realizing that, you're supposed to keep moving in life. You're supposed to grow. You're supposed to grow. That's what you're supposed to do. So when you stay in the same position, honestly, again, like I said, I'm a believer. God makes it really uncomfortable for you to stay there. He makes it painful even sometimes for you to stay in the same position. You gotta move. If you refuse to, he's gonna make it so that you do. He's gonna make it so that you get out of wherever it is that you are, because you're not meant to stay. You're not meant to stay there. Okay, you're not meant to stay there. So yeah, why not me? I never ask that question anymore. I'm like, I got to, because it's going to hurt to stay. I don't want to feel that anymore. I got to move. I got to level up. He's preparing me to move up, not stay here. He's preparing me to move up, and I'm going to keep on doing that. And because it doesn't feel good to stay where you're not meant to stay. So there is no why not me. There's no question about that. No, it's me. It's just my time. When is my time going to come?
Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing. I always feel that we don't feel. I'm going to speak for myself. I don't feel entitled, but I feel I put the work in. Mm-hmm. I feel that I've worked extremely, extremely, extremely hard on all the things that I am required to do, and still working. So let me preface: I'm not done, far from done. But I put a lot of work in, sleepless, tiresome nights. But I also know that those tired nights, those frustrating days, those aggravation moments, they're all to build and make me a better person and help me reach the goal. So it's time to say, why not me? Why not share the fruits and share the wisdom that I've received from those that are around me? I've said that knowledge speaks. Mm-hmm. But wisdom listens. So when you get done with all that knowledge that's grasped in, when you get it, wisdom listens. It gets it. It shares it. It holds it. And it helps mold everybody around you. So again, thank you both for sharing exactly what what we're talking about today. We're going to be winding down in a few minutes, so I kind of want to flip something on that I think is really going to help other people tonight. And I'm going to start with you first, Anvennette. If you can give, well, let's talk fact, okay? Fact is tomorrow's not promised.
Right.
Fact is we are going to have situations. Fact is people sometimes will give up in their situations. If you can give everyone listening one single word that they can hold on to while they're going through this storm, what would that word be and why?
It would be going through the storm, peace. I would encourage you to find your peace in the storm. The storm is always going to happen. There are going to be storms in life. Anybody that says that they have not been to the storm will be going into one sooner or later. And you have to find peace. I like the quote that says basically, sometimes God calms the storm, but sometimes he lets the storm rage and calms his child, basically. So I found that in any storm and anything that I was going through, I found a way to find my peace within it, knowing that it's going to rage, it's going to do whatever it's going to do, and how I act within that. How I treat people within that, how I treat my family, my friends, those that are trying to be there for me, is going to be up to me. It's for me to find peace inside while I'm going through this, because it's not going to be forever. It's not going to be forever. So I'll do things like, meditate again, exercise, pray, and I pray. I don't even pray like everybody else does. I talk to God like he's my best friend. Okay. Like, what I'm going through today, Lord. Okay. So that's the way I just, I let my things out. I'm 3:00 in the morning. I'm up talking to God. Okay, now you just saw what happened today. Okay, so, and that's where I find my peace. And in the morning I can get up and I can keep moving, even though I know that storm is not over. It's not over, but it's okay. That's all I can say. It's okay. And it's going to be okay. And it will be over, and I'm going to get past this. So right now, you can't go wild off and everything like that. I'm a mother, so I have to maintain. I have to find my peace in that, so that I can. So nobody knows that I'm actually kind of breaking down sometimes. But I find peace and I find calm. However it is, I can do that as well.
Beautiful. Thank you, Derrek. How about you? If you can give them one word, one single word, while they're going through the storm, what would that word be?
You ready for your acronym, Mark? Grit. And that acronym, I couldn't. Anvennette gave an acronym. I had to come back with an acronym. Grit. Greatness requires internal toughness, and that's one that I learned along the way.
I love it.
To Anvennette's point, most people either going into a storm, they're actually in the storm, or they're coming out of the storm, and that's just the circle of kind of how it works. And I would say is just be still and not ask why is this happening? Why is this happening to me? But better yet, what am I supposed to learn from this? And that's how I approach it. They always say that life is 10% of what happens to you and 90% of how you respond to it. So I can say that, as a younger student, when tribulations and storms would occur, I would be very, very why. As I've gotten older,
we're losing you.
He's frozen.
No, I'm still.
Oh no! Don't. Let's not lose him. I was really getting into that.
Yeah, Derrek, are you there? He may have froze up on us a little bit. That's all right.
No, he just went and
That's all right. We're getting back. We'll see if we can get him back in a second.
We're getting back, yeah.
All right. I'm gonna close with mine, and that would be temporary. I would say the word temporary. And I always revert back to something that I believe in. And that's, and I've said it before, and I've said on some of my shows, is when a flower doesn't bloom, we don't blame the flower. We fix the environment in which the flower grows. So everything that we are going through, is a temporary situation. We will arrive from it. You know, I just finished a segment on Arise. Derrek, you looks like you might be back. Can you hear us?
Here? Is it there?
I can't hear
Hey!
you.
We can hear you. That's okay. Well, you know, so it's so important that we remember that the things that we go through are temporary. They're not going to last forever. And it is just a storm. And the key to making it through the storm is your ability to grasp knowledge in that storm. What am I supposed to learn? What is the teaching elements that I'm going to get out of inside this? How is this? What is this moving me towards once I come out? Because I am going to come out, and I'm going to come out a better person than I did when I went in. See, I've been washed at that point. I'm clean. That storm is good. It really cleaned me up and cleaned me off to get to where I need to go. So, Derrek, can you hear us now? Can you hear us through the computer?
There
You
you
can
go.
hear us? All right, all right. You want to take a
All
couple more
right.
finish what you was talking about?
Oh man, I don't know what part you guys got cut off at.
I was scared he was going to ask that. What part did he stop at, Mark?
We can't
I
do
think
a
you were
replay.
talking about the going in. You're either coming into the storm, in the storm, or going out of the storm,
Right.
or outside the storm.
And for me, it's just, what am I supposed to learn? And instead of asking, why is this happening to me? And I said, as a younger student, when things would occur, you know, I would find myself asking, why, and trying to do what's right. But they're learning opportunities. And when you start looking at these situations as, what am I supposed to learn from this? So as I said, be still. And just, look for the lesson in the storm. So that way, when you come out, you can be bigger and better for it.
That sounds just like something I said. Good job.
Awesome.
No, that's perfect, man. That's perfect. We're going to be wrapping up here in a couple of minutes. I want to give you both of you an opportunity to, if there's anything that you want to share with our guests and individuals listening tonight, let's take a moment and do that. So I'm going to start with you first, Derrek. Anything you want our listeners to know that you're passionate about, that can kind of really help them move into the next direction, the next phase of their life, to really answer, why not me?
I would say just believe that it can happen. You control that. So, for me, just try to win every day. There's an old saying, you say you eat the elephant one bite at a time. Don't look at it as something something too large for you to tackle. Truth be told, I spent most of my adult years in New York, but I'm from a very small town in South Carolina that have dirt roads. Well, they had dirt roads when I was growing up. And, if you would have told me or told anyone around me at that time that I would move to New York and be an executive, a C-level executive, I don't think they would believe you. And to be honest with you, I don't know if I would have believed you. But when you start to bet on yourself, and look at every obstacle as a learning opportunity, and be honest with yourself, right? Mm-hmm. Own every part of it that belongs to you, and then begin to build. You can do and accomplish whatever you want to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
Can be rich. Absolutely. Anvennette, what about you?
Yeah, absolutely love what he said. Yes, absolutely be honest with yourself. When you're trying to figure out what it is that you want to do, be honest with yourself. Own everything that is you and is your part, because that's the only way that you can grow. And don't beat yourself up. Actually, don't sit back and beat yourself up about any past mistakes and things that you've done. You can't continue to grow if you keep beating yourself up about past mistakes. I hate it when people do that to themselves. They shouldn't have done this. They shouldn't have done that. I should have did this. Honey, if you don't let the past go, if you don't let the past die, it won't let you live. You have got to continue to grow. You have got to continue to move forward. Okay, so own what you did, learn from it, move forward. Just keep moving forward.
Thank you so much. Again, I'm truly humbled and thankful tonight that I always share the stage with impactful people, great friends, great people. Again, thank you, Derrek Ruffin. Thank you, Anvennette McDonald, for sharing their vision and helping me bring poor and rich into everybody's home and to everybody's heart tonight. Again, thank you so much for all that you do.
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you. Thank you for having us.
Again, I want to close with something that's impactful that I think that everybody needs to really take into account. We talk about where we are versus where we want to go. And part of where we're going, we need to stop and embrace the small things. Embrace the little victories, the small victories as we progress to where we truly want to go. So I want to close with a story that I think is so impactful that truly epitomizes poor versus rich and us taking advantage of the things that we truly take advantage of. See, there was a professor who stood before his philosophy class, and he had some items in front of him. When the class began, wordlessly, he picked up a jar, a very large jar that was empty, and proceeded to fill it with golf balls. He then asked the students if the jar was full. They all agreed it was. It was full. So the professor then picked up a box of pebbles and poured them in the jar as well. He shook the jar lightly. The pebbles rolled into the open areas between the golf balls. He then asked the students again, is the jar full? They agreed it was. The professor then, he picked up a box of sand and poured it inside the jar. Of course, as you'd imagine, the sand filled up everything else. He asked once again if the jar was full. The students responded unanimously, yes. The professor then produced 2 cans of beer under the table and poured the entire contents of beer in the jar, effectively filling up the empty spaces between the sand. The students laughed. As you can imagine, what was the professor doing with beer underneath there? Now, said the professor, as the laughter subsided, I want you to recognize that this jar represents your life. The golf balls are the important things. Your family, your children, your health, your friends, your favorite passion things. If everything else was lost and that only remained, your life would still be full. The pebbles are the other things that matter, like your job, your house, your car. The sand is everything else, the small stuff. If you put the sand in the jar first, there's no room for the pebbles, no room for the golf balls. The same goes for your life. If you spend all your time and energy on the small stuff, you never will have room for the important things. Pay attention to the things that are critical to your life, to things that mean the most to you. If I can encourage you to do something, play with your children. Take time to get medical checkups. Take your partner out to dinner. There's always time to clean the house and fix the rubbish. Take care of the golf balls first. That's the things that matters. Set your priorities. The rest is just sand. Don't continue to live a life of passing over opportunity repeatedly. Understand and believe in your heart and soul, as you've heard from myself and as you've heard from 2 wonderful individuals. You, yourself, have to realize it can happen because it is for you. Why not me? Again, I'm Mark Smith. Thank you again for joining me tonight. Again, if you have not listened to any of the podcasts, you can find that on Anchor, Spotify, iHeartRadio. I just got an email today. TuneIn has now uploaded all the Process podcasts. Thanks again to Derrek Ruffin, Miss Anvennette McDonald. You guys are truly a blessing. I love you both. Everybody, go have a great weekend. Believe in yourself. Trust in yourself because greatness lies within you. I'm Mark Smith with The Process. Have a blessed and wonderful week. I'll see you in 2 weeks.